Good afternoon, good evening, or good morning, depending where you're at. It's 11:30 a.m. 82 degrees outside today. Starting to warm up. Not too bad today. How's everybody doing? Hey, everybody, go over to James God Guide and tell him he needs some prayers. He lost a family member. I believe it was his stepdad. So make sure go to his channel, tell him condolences. And how's everybody doing this morning? I see we got some people coming in. I'll be reading the chat later. Right now, I'll be driving. I'm gonna be running some errands today. Thursday, 11:30 a.m. 82 degrees in California. How's everybody doing? We got two people in here. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up, like and share. If you're not subscribed, subscribe. Check out my channel list of all the people that I have on there. There's a lot of on there. Maybe you'll find something that you like. There's fishing channels. There's metal detector channels. There's magnet fishing channels, food channels, reptiles, arachnids, just regular people, paranormal people, all kinds. So take a look. You might find something you like, everybody. Well, see, nice skies, no clouds. Summertime's coming. Hopefully, it takes longer than usual. Yeah, I'm getting my new AC system put in sometime next week. Yeah, I needed it. Compressor was going to be 26 years old this year. I replaced other parts on it, but yeah, using up too much electricity, especially with everything going up. I figured you gotta get that new AC put in. Help out with the electric bill this summer. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, not too bad of a day today. So how's everybody doing there? Running errands. See, there was I remember we used to when we moved up north. It was funny because we used to. My dad had us. We didn't have a place to stay yet, so we were staying in motels. We were staying at this one motel, and it's across the hotel across the street. There was a gas station, and it was funny because my brother he was like let's see how I think he was probably 15, I think, 15 years old, and he just play around all the time, and he used to all of a sudden just like scream real loud, And then we used to leave our door open because it was nice and fresh outside, let the air out the rooms, and it was funny because I used to go put gas at that gas station, and this guy at the gas station is all like, "Ah, man, I don't know what's going on." He goes, "But there's this woman that I think she lives over across the street there at that motel. Every morning, you hear her screaming, yelling like somebody's killing her." And I was listening to him, and it's funny because that was my brothers just screaming, just playing around, and it's like, I'm gonna go over there, and I'm gonna smack that guy that's hitting that poor lady, making her scream. Oh man, that was so funny. And then he started working part time at a pizza place, and he used to work at a pizza place, washing dishes and you know cleaning tables, and it was funny because well, he got paid, and then he would eat there, and then the boss would, you know he would deduct whatever he would eat. He told him, whatever you eat, or he would take home a pizza. They would make a pizza for him, and he would take it home. And the thing is, he's like, he comes home, with his check, it's real small, and then he tells my dad, yeah, look. And my dad, well, what do you mean you only got paid that much? You've been working, so many hours. What's up with this? How come you're only getting so much? You know, and then the thing is, he didn't tell my dad, oh well, by the way, you know, I've been eating there, and I've been, taking home, you know, food, and then they charge you for it. It's not free. So, it was like, so my dad goes and confronts the pizza owner, and he goes, "Hey, what's up with this? My son, you worked all these hours, and then you're not even paying him, enough. You owe him more money." And the guy goes, "Well, did your son tell you, that he's been eating here, and then he's been taking food home? That's not free. I told him." And he's all like, "Oh, okay." So he goes and tells my brother, "Why didn't you tell me this?" He's all mad at him, going, "Yeah, you should have told me this." He's all like, "Oh, well," he didn't want to tell him, but then they found out. So I said, "You're not working there." So that was the end of his employment career for a while. Okay, I'll be right back. Don't go away. Okay, I'm back. Yeah, so that was pretty much the end of my brother's career there for employment. Let's see, what do we got in here? Maggie. All right, how's it going, Maggie? Yeah, let's see, Bud's in here. Roy and Becky. How's it going, Roy? Howdy, 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 boy. Howdy, howdy, Becky and Roy. Yeah. Yeah, man, those gas prices probably going to be killing you there, Becky. With those, that RV you guys drive. It's crazy. I drive a little Corolla, man. It's like double the gas. You know, later on, I got to go put gas later on today. See how much it went up. I mean, what was it? What's today? Today's Thursday. I put gas on it on Sunday. I usually put gas Sundays and Thursdays, you know. And on Sunday it was 549, 550, the 90, 549, 99, 99, pretty much. Just, you know, trying to make you feel good, oh, it's not 50 cents yet. Yeah. You know, I mean, look at the 99-cent store, not 99 cents anymore. You know, but yeah, so we lived in a couple of hotels there for a while, and then we one day, we came. The lady from the motel was all mad, and, well, you guys got to get out of here, because your dad hasn't paid the rent and this and that, and he's coming today, so we gave him a call and said, hey, he was a truck driver, so he was pretty much was never there. So then luckily I found one of the guys that my grandma used to take care of, from the foster kids, we were living up there in San Jose area, and he lived in Gilroy, in an apartment, and we were, what, we need a quick place to live, for just a couple of days, He goes, yeah, man, come on over, and then we'll look for an apartment, and that's what we did. And how I found out where he was and where he was living is, he was, I was working at a Kmart, and I was a Santa for about 2 months at Kmart, handing out candy canes, that was fun, it was a good experience, they gave you the they had the suit and everything, so all I had to do was show up, get dressed, and then either sit down, and then I was allowed to get up and walk around. I'd walk around and hand out candy canes, and there was some kids that were walking around the store with their parents, and I'm like, hey, I'm like, here, that's all this. And the parents came over and said, oh, no, we don't believe, because they were Jehovah's Witnesses. They're all like, oh, we don't believe in Christmas if I give them a candy cane, I mean, and some people, I respect the religion, not gonna push Santa onto them. And then, you get some kids, they would sit on your lap and, you're not the real Santa. I had a little girl, she's like, you're not the real Santa. This area here on the side of the highway, sometimes that interferes with internet highway. Sometimes that interferes with internet Wi-Fi connections. Yeah, so the little girl, she's all like, hey, you're not Santa. And And I'm like, okay, all right, then I guess I will give you a doll, that like the one you got. Now the kids would ask and say, hey, well, where's the reindeers? Where's Rudolph? Like, oh, well, they're all up on the roof. They're eating. Oh, can we go up there and see them? I go, no, no, you're not allowed. Oh man, so they were like, oh, okay, and then I had this one guy. He had his daughter with him, and I think she was 18 already, and he's all like, well, can my daughter, because she's big, can she sit on your lap and take a picture? I go, sure, why not? Yeah. So he's got one of these cameras, that has batteries in it, But then I guess he tried to take a picture he didn't have any batteries. He's all like, oh, okay, well, don't move. He tells her not to move, to stay there. He goes in the store somewhere and go get go pick up some batteries, So he's all like, and then she's all like, oh, she's all, am I too heavy? I'm like, no, no, everything's fine, you know. And then so then he comes back and he's all like, oh, okay, and he goes, yeah, because he goes, I got a picture of her when she was real little. Now I want a picture, as an adult, with Santa. I'm like, sure, why not. So he took a picture, and get the picture and stuff. So then there was employees also. There was a bunch of employees in the store. They wanted to know. They wanted to know who I was. Because they thought at first oh, you know what, that I wasn't one of the employees from the store. They're all like, you're the guy that works at gardening or this, and I'm like, no, because they didn't know that I was from I wasn't from the store at all. I was just hired to be a Santa in the store, and so and then I think back then Kmart, they used to pay. Oh my God, this idiot motorcycle guys. Gee. Luckily, the other car didn't come this way. He was coming this way, gonna hit it, cause an accident here. Yeah. It's like, why don't you wait till everybody stops, then you can go move forward at the stop sign. You want to be in the front. Yeah, so then Kmart, I believe they were paying back then. This was in the 90s. Or was it this in the 80s? No, it was in the 80s. It was like before the 90s. It was in the 80s. And so then they would pay you once a week. And the good thing about Kmart, you didn't have to go to the bank, because they would cash your check for you, no charge. You sign your check stub, they give you your check stub, and then you give you cash, because the way they figured, the less money they had in the store, in case they got robbed, that way they wouldn't get robbed. So they had all the employees, they would give them their checks and give them cash. So because they collected all day, they were collecting money from all the registers, those blue light specials, so they'd go pick up all the cash, and then they'd have it, to pay people, and on Friday, they would get rid of all, because, especially on the weekends, they didn't want to have cash, because Armor, they would pick up money, but then, I don't think they would do it on Saturdays at that time, just Friday, Monday through Friday. So they were like, oh, we don't want to have all this cash, in the store in case somebody, comes and robs them. So that was pretty good. So we got paid, So then, the employees were like, because I used to go on my breaks, go sit in the break room where the employees were, they had a TV in there, and then people would eat their snacks or whatever, lunch, and then I wouldn't take my beard off or anything, so you couldn't see, they couldn't see who I was, so it was like, oh, they couldn't figure out who I really was, and they never did, they never found out, and then one day, that guy that my grandma used to take care of, he's in the store, and then I see him, and I'm like, oh, you know what, I think that's him, so I called him by his name, I called him by his name, and then he's all like, how does this guy know my name? And he was like thinking, and then he comes over there with, he had his kid with him, and then I'm like, hey, how's it going? And I told him, how you been? And he's all like, hey, how do you know? He's all telling me, how do you know my name? I'm like, hey, well, I'm Santa. Santa knows everybody. Santa knows everybody. So, and then some, some kid, kids, some kids, speak only Spanish. I would speak to them in Spanish, because I was bilingual. You know, Too bad I didn't know any other, just English and Spanish. You know, but yeah, yeah. So the so then I go, hey, how's it going? Then no, but then later on I told him, I go, you know who I was, like, oh, okay. But yeah, he was all like, what the hell? He's all like, this must be the real Santa, you know, and I give a candy cane to his son and stuff. And then my friend, he goes, I told him, I go, hey, well, I mean, he was like family because I mean, he lived so many years with my grandmother. We're kind of almost like stepbrothers, And so then I told him the situation. I go, hey, you know what, my mom, we need to move out. Is there can we stay at your place? Yeah, yeah. Come on over. So we stayed there a couple of days, and then I found an apartment like down the street from where he lived. It's a two bedroom apartment, and I'm like, oh, that's perfect. And I think back then it was only like $300 and something a month. And you just had to pay electricity. I think they because they paid for the water, and then the water and the gas, because everything was electric pretty much in that apartment. The stove, the water heater. It had one water heater for the whole complex. Because it was like a 4 unit. They had a bunch of different. There was a bunch of different apartments there, but there was four units to an area, and they had a big water heater for everybody. So we didn't have to pay for gas either. So basically, we just paid electricity and the rent. And then we were low income, but still we had to pay the full price because we weren't on housing. So then we were there for a couple of years there, and then one time then the owners of the apartments, they came and said, hey, well, they're gonna be going into housing. So anybody that wants to qualify for housing, can fill out the application, and if you qualify, you get put into housing, which was good because I mean, when we signed, we were trying to get them to housing to get cheaper, rent paid. I mean, there was a waiting list, and then for that waiting list, there was another waiting list. I mean, there was a list for the list, and then we asked, well, how long, how much time for us to be able to get an apartment? They said they're backed up. They were so backed up. I mean, it would probably take maybe 10 years, if or less. I'm like, oh my God, 10 years. So we were lucky, that the apartments, had that. So then we qualified and we went into housing. The rent went down. I think we only paid maybe we only had to pay like maybe 100 and something a month, and then and then I was working, once in a while, a job here, job there. I really didn't have a full-time job at the time. And my mom, she was on, she had, they were getting food stamps. And then because my dad he just disappeared. He was a truck driver, but then all of a sudden he would disappear, and he was never around. So they'd ask, well, where's your dad? Well, we don't know where he's at. And we in reality we didn't. So so then we qualified for, my mom qualified for food stamps, and also cash aid. So then and then, I mean, I was working once in a while, job here and there. It wasn't full time. So then we got different. Then finally I did start working. I started working at Craig Auto Parts. You know, and then I asked the people, from housing. I go, well, is that gonna affect? Jesus, this idiot. Hey, can you turn right in front of everybody? Why not? How's You saw that. You saw that. It was on video. uh, but yeah, so then so they said no. In the housing, I think it did kind of affect a little bit, but for my mom, the good thing it wasn't going to affect her because they weren't including me in the in that, because I mean, I was an adult living there, but I mean, so she was, in housing, so they qualified for the cash aid and stuff, and because it was my brother and my sister. My brother, he was still in high school. I think he had maybe another year or so to go, you know. And let's see who's in here. Hey Anna, hey Shane, how's it going? Hey, yeah. So then so then the hold on. Yeah. So then yeah. So then we were there for a good amount of years. The rent kept increasing. Pretty soon the rent was up to almost regular rent. I mean, luckily, we only had to pay partial, because it was up to, it doubled, already. It was up to 600 and something a month, you know. Let's see what we got here. Yeah, so then we were there. We were there a couple of years. Yeah. Oh, let's see. Yep. So yeah, so we stayed there at that apartment for a long time. and then at one time I finally like I moved out and started living in my own apartment by myself. But yeah, I mean, it wasn't that bad there. I love the weather. It was beautiful weather there in Gilroy, California. I mean, summer times. I mean, we didn't have in that apartment. It was upstairs, uh, that we lived into, and it wasn't hot. I mean, we didn't have any air conditioning. All we had was a fan, maybe. You know, we would just open the windows, and it would in nighttime it got cold. You know, the nights were nice and fresh. During the day, it might get into the 90s. Maybe 100, but it wasn't. It wasn't like oh man, you couldn't. Yeah, so we were like, it's it's fine. I'm like, the only thing is the summertime. Summertime, the air, the I mean, not summertime, in the wintertime, it was cold. The only thing is, yeah, we did pay a lot of electricity during the wintertime because our heaters were electric. You know, come on, that's good. Yeah, so it was, it was just, the bills were a little bit higher during the wintertime. I mean, during the summertime, I mean, our electric bill was real low. I mean, well, everything was electric, the stove and everything, but I mean, we paid maybe $60, but yeah, I mean, during the wintertime, yeah. And then we found out that the heater was messed up because it wouldn't, it had a temperature on it, but it wouldn't work. So we just ended up just not even using it. We just got like a little heater for the bathroom, so we can, when you take a shower, at least the bathroom was nice and warm. But it never really got that cold, and then the apartments, they weren't really soundproof. I mean, we live upstairs, and then the kids downstairs, when they would run around and you could hear the footsteps. It was funny because you could hear the footsteps, upstairs, and they were the ceiling. Their ceiling was our floor, and we were quiet. I mean, my sister, she wouldn't run around and stuff like that. And then the husband, yeah, I would hear the husband yelling and this and that, and I'm like, I'm gonna kill you and all this. I'm like, oh my god. And the guy, the lady, the next morning, she had a black eye, and then like my mom would talk to her, like, hey, what happened? That he hit her. Because he had a gun, but he hit her with the back, like the grip, bottom of the grip, hit her. And he's all like, and she's all like, you should get him in trouble. No, and he goes, it'll be worse, this and that. Okay, so they would just get all screaming and yelling all night, and then I'm like, oh shit, I'm like, I was afraid. I'm like, shit, this guy's gonna shoot off his gun. It's gonna go right through the floor and hit us upstairs. That's what I was thinking. I was like, man, it's crazy. Yeah, so we lived there for many years, and then they started, fixing the bathrooms and everything. They remodeled, and then they would come in. 'Cause my mom, she was really, cleaning always, the wall. We wouldn't, get our, like some kids, you go. You go to some apartments and the kids destroy the apartments. They make holes in the walls. They all this, and then the guys when they came in, because they did the housing had to come in and do an inspection, this and that, and then they're like, well, how long, because they were gonna start, remodeling the bathrooms because their bathrooms were old. They're gonna put tiled bathrooms, and we're gonna put a backsplash in the kitchen, um, if we needed, new hood, range for the smoke. Where and then the thing is, the guy came in, the new owners because I guess it changed owners from they sold the apartments to somebody else, and then they were gonna, all housing is gonna help them repair the apartments, because they pay for the money to repair, that's how housing works. They help them improve apartments, and in turn they get lower, they get full rent, partial from the tenant and partial from the government. So then the guy comes in and he's all like, geez, how long have you lived here? Well, we'd already lived there like 10 years. And then they're like, oh, 10 years? Has this apartment ever been, repainted since you moved in? We're like, no, it's original paint. I'm like, damn, there's not a lot that they're gonna have to do here. I mean, they're gonna repaint everything, but the apartment looks. I mean, the only spot where it was bad was in the window, like the window seals. The window seals had, would get like kind of like it would get moldy, like really dark. But that was because the way the weather was over there. There was a lot of moisture, and then the heat, from the heaters, it would cause the windows to sweat, and then it would drip, and then I guess it didn't have a good, for that to drain out of the windowsill. So it got like mold there. So he goes, oh well, just this. He goes, we had some old curtains, and the curtains, they even asked about the curtains. Oh, these curtains, yeah, yeah. I mean, I think we even we didn't wash them because I think if we would have washed them, they probably would have fell apart. They were so old. So then the guy, he goes, oh, they were gonna give us, instead of curtains, they were gonna get blinds. So they were gonna put these blinds in, which are better. I mean, but then the only thing is, they do get, they can get easily ruined and hard to clean, because you got to clean between the blinds, But they had those feather dusters, those ones that collect all the dust. They were pretty good. And so then they came and then okay, and then they were gonna get a contractor, to start remodeling all the apartments. And well, my brother, he used to work for a contractor, you know. So at first, when he started, he was working for some guy, this guy would pay him, to work, and then later on, my brother, he got his own license and stuff, and then pretty much after a couple of years, then he made his own business. But then he could do side jobs, when he wasn't working with his boss, you know. So the guy hired him. He goes, hey, you know what? I got so many. I bought a bunch of units, and then I'm gonna have a lot of units to do, and this guy was buying a bunch of apartments. So I told my brother, well, I can hire you. You can be my contractor, and I'll pay you, to remodel it. And I'm like, and he's all like, oh, okay, all right. So we started working on the bathrooms. I started helping him. So I started, helping him with the tiling and stuff. And I used to cut the tile with a Makita, you know, and cut the little openings, for the water things for the shower. And we did the backsplash in the kitchens also. We would knock it out, tear down and put in the new the drywall, and do any repairs to the plumbing, if and then because he had new faucets, he wanted new faucets and everything put in, So he did that. We did that. It was good. He started, getting his making money, So then, pretty soon, he started saving, and then he, started his own business, So now, and then he worked a lot of, he worked one time. He worked for like CET. It's like a school that teach you different skills. They teach you, welding, carpentry, how to build a house, electrical work. So he was an instructor for a lot of years. He was an instructor for CET, but then they only pay so much, and then he still was doing side jobs, but then he's all like, I can do more. So he pretty much gave up that, did his own business, and he's been doing that. I mean, he did one time. He had a house and he lost it, just like everybody else when they had the crash of all the houses, because he they charge you. They were qualifying people that didn't qualify for houses, because basically you were just paying all interest, and so they didn't even they weren't even paying anything on the loan, and then the market crashed. So then the house that he had was a $500,000 home, and it ended up being like much less. So then he couldn't, the loan that he had was higher than the value of the house, so you can't even really sell it. So he ended up, after a while, they kicked him out. The sheriff department, he held out as much as he could, but everybody was getting kicked out of their houses, losing their houses. My sister, she was a school teacher and she was making good money, and but then they sold her. They got her a loan that was also the same thing. Her house, the value of it dropped. It became half. The house was worth almost 300,000. But then when the crash, her house was only worth like maybe a little bit less than 200,000. So there's no way you could, then the loan, it was a variable interest rate, because the people back then, the banks, they didn't care. They just they wanted just to do whatever they had to do to sell houses and stuff like that. So then they went to, she almost lost it, but she had to get a lawyer. And the lawyer filed a bunch of paperwork, because they were actually, banks got in trouble for doing all that, because qualifying people illegally, because back then you would just say, oh, well, just say you got money from this place, just to qualify you. It's like, making up stuff, that was the banking, doing shit like that, or loan companies, whoever was loaning money. They just, they didn't care. They were gonna get they were gonna get their money for it. The bank later on, the finance companies were the ones that they were gonna foreclose on the customers, take back the houses, and then guess what? Then they get to resell them again at a profit, because they've already gotten money for so many years, because I mean, if you look at loans, you pay them, and you're like paying, a loan, and say the house is worth only 150,000. By the time you pay it off, you're paid over 300 and something thousand with interest, depending on what the interest rate was back then, But yeah, I mean, it's like they were qualifying people. Now everything that after that they got in trouble. Now everybody has to qualify. They double check everything. You're like, oh, you wanna, only if your credit is good, and then still even then, they qualify you Because even when I went to go get a car, because I mean I got good credit. They're like, oh no, you what do you mean you just want this? You can get an SUV. You can. Yeah, I'm gonna be paying $600 a month for one car. I go, no, 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 no. Because we needed two cars, so basically I got two cars. Pay like 300 something each on each car. And even back then, minimum wage. I was making minimum wage. It wasn't that great. I mean, it was like six something. That's when after I got married. It was like six something. An hour. For a lot of years it was that. And then it finally decided to increase the pay for everybody. Everything was going up, but not our pay. You know, unless you were a doctor, lawyer, or of course, those are expensive. Tesla, electric, red. I don't know. I've heard a bunch of people talk about those. This one guy, he just bought a brand new Mercedes electric, one of those. What is it? SQ something 450 Mercedes, and it's all electric. I think it's like over 140,000 for the vehicle. And yeah, he said I told him, I go, why didn't you get yourself a Tesla? He's all like, nah. I looked into them. He goes, some of them are really bad. Some of them you can't even run them through the car wash because the paint mess up on the cars. I'm like, what? Yeah, he's all like the paint would fall off or something. I don't know what it was. But yeah, they had a bunch of bad reviews on the Teslas. And so he goes, that's why he got the Mercedes. I mean, this thing, he goes, yeah, it pretty much drives itself. He goes, it's electric, and I think he said it got over 400 and something miles to a full charge. I'm like, damn. It had air conditioning. I mean, it had everything. He showed me the inside of it. It was like, whoa, leather seats, big interior. I mean, it's a sedan. It's almost like the old. Like, it reminded me of the old Cadillacs. How those big old 1970s, 1980 Cadillacs. With that big trunk space, big interior. But yeah, so remodeling for her. He made a master bedroom with a laundry room and a nice internet here. So, come on, light change. So yeah. So then so she made it much bigger. Her house now value to it. And housing. House. I think they only had a big of a living room. The dining room was much bigger, but the living room, yeah, it had a little there, and it had a fireplace also. So she had that remodeling, and then they found that when they were doing the attic for the air ducts, in case the power goes out, she has a battery backup because the solar panels, charge up the battery. And then one day she said that they lost power, everybody in the neighborhood, but she was the only one, and she still had electricity, because she had the battery, you know. So she's all like, yeah, she was like, I was the only house in the neighborhood that had power. It's like, it's kind of scary too because then people they're like, oh, they have electricity, let's go over there. But yeah, so she did all that, and now at least she's not gonna lose the house because she got that fixed rate. Don't have to worry about it. But yeah, I mean, houses are starting to go up again. I mean, they went down a little bit for a while there. Everybody was buying. People would order from Pizza Hut. No, not Pizza Hut. It was Domino's. And people would from the motel would order Domino's. People would from the motel would order Domino's, and then I don't. And then they would call. Domino's would call, and then hey, I got a pizza for such and such a room. So then I guess the guy at the Domino's, I don't know if he kind of liked my, talking to my wife on the phone. So he's all over there, like I guess flirting or whatever. And then he would send her pizzas, free pizzas, all the time. So my wife would call, because she didn't really eat pizzas, but my son and my older son and me, so she'd call, hey, come on, pick up the pizza, they dropped off some pizzas. So we'd go over there and pick up the pizzas. It's like, hey, you know what? Let the guy keep sending free pizzas, man. We'll enjoy them. But yeah. And then working in the motel, you see a lot of things. There's people shooting up in the rooms. One time she said some guy overdosed. Some guy called. There was another guy that she knew that and then he like yeah, I guess he was the guy's dealer. And then he's all like, hey, well, what's going on? He's all like, hey, call the ambulance. This guy, he overdosed. So they call the ambulance, and by the ambulance gets there, then my wife had to go to the room with the key, open up the room because the guy that was there, he didn't want to get in trouble either, so he left. He left the guy there. The guy he tried to revive the guy before he called anybody. He stuck him in the shower, took off his clothes. So the guy's laying on the carpet floor all naked, you know, and then then the cops get there and they're like, oh, you know what? So they get a towel, cover him up, hey, so what happened? This and this. And she's all like, I don't know. Somebody called, said they needed an ambulance, so I called the ambulance. I mean, she wasn't gonna finger the guy, So then she's all like, yeah, so I don't know who was in the room, She's all like, so then there was another guy that worked there, and then this ended up being really bad because this guy that would work, that would like relieve her during the day, or she would relieve him. Yeah, that's right. She would relieve him because she had the night shift, and then he had the split shift. So from the morning shift to the afternoon shift, he would take over. And then this guy, he had a girlfriend, but then she was a prostitute. And then what she would do, he would give her rooms, like if somebody would get out of the room wasn't clean. This guy, he would, his girlfriend would go to the would go over to the motel and take her client with her and go into a room and then do their business in there. So, but then this guy that the girl took into a room, I guess this guy was a damn crazy guy or something, or she did something, or he didn't want to pay, and then she, so this guy ends up killing her, So this happened like right before the shift changed, and then this guy he slit, I guess he slit her throat, and got her like right where the main artery was. So there was like blood in the on the walls and on. My wife just described it to me, but it was like it was blood everywhere. It was like a massacre. It looked like a massacre in there. The carpet, and then she bled out. And by the time because the guy he found out and he went over to check on her, and then he's all like, "Oh shit." And then they have security too, but the security, they only outside. They're not inside the rooms. And then and then they called the cops, and then the cops showed up. My wife was there going. It was a shift change, and it was they're all asking my wife, "So what happened?" Oh, she was like, "Hey, I don't know anything. I'm coming in." You know, she's all like, "I don't know. I'm coming in. I'm coming in to relieve him." And then I this is what I find. What's going on. This girl. She's a prostitute, and I guess one of the clients she had, went crazy and killed her inside the room. I don't think they ever found out who the guy was. Because the guy ended up getting fired because he was using the room for, and then she told him, you better tell him because or else I'm not gonna cover you because she used to cover for him other times. She goes, yeah, this is fucking murder. Lady was killed. I'm not covering you for this time. I'm not doing it. She's all like, yeah. She's all like, I'm not doing it. So he's all like, yeah, yeah. I go, you better tell him exactly what you know. So he told the cops, so at least he wasn't involved in the murder, but he did participate in giving her the room. Sometimes she would pay for the room, not all the time, but that time I think she might have paid for the room. But he and then he would go see her. That's how he found her because he was gonna go over there, to the room, and then he found her like that. Guy was the guy was gone already. The guy that killed her. So he's like, he kind of went crazy, what he saw, and then the cops investigated. I mean, FBI. I mean, it was a big mess. There was a big investigation. They had to go. The FBI interviewed my wife and everybody, and then she said, "Well, this and this. I don't know what he was doing. He's all like it was on his shift. By the time I got in, she was already dead. So yeah, it was like crazy. and then uh, and then my wife, she's like, don't. She did that still for a couple more years until the point where my younger son, was going to be born, and then her health wasn't that great, so the doctor said, no, that's it. You're not going to work anymore. You're going to get. He was going to go on disability, and basically, my son's 20, going to be 26, so she's pretty much been disabled for about 26 years now. And then, well, then now, she ended up, now losing her sight, so now she can't see either. So she had a stroke, last year in May. Okay, I'm gonna be right back, everybody. Gotta go put some gas. Don't go nowhere. Where? Right back. Okay, how's it going? Everybody's gone. What's up? Yeah. Let's see who else is in here. Yeah, so gas, everybody. Damn. $5.55, man. Went up another 5 cents. Gas keeps going up. Yeah, so yeah, that poor lady, she was murdered in that poor room, you know. And the sad thing is, she had a kid, you know. Still, the lady still, lost her life, and now her son wasn't gonna have a mom, you know. Yeah, so I mean, it's a sad thing, but the guy lost his job because he was he was pretty much being her kind of like her pimp. I guess he got free sex out of it. Give her rooms. Pretty much. So she would get picked up. She'd walk from the motel, and they'd go to the motel, park their car there and stuff, go to their room. But yeah, I guess that crazy guy, whoever, I don't know if they ever caught that person that killed that lady. But it was a horrific, death. I mean, my wife described it. I mean, there was a bunch of blood everywhere. Because I guess he started on the bed and he sliced her throat. And all the blood started coming out, and then she ended up bleeding out on the carpet. So it's a sad story, but that's the way it is. And so then she basically, my wife, the doctor said, that's it, no more working for you. So she's pretty much been home, all this time, for that many years. Basically, she would still drive. She would still drive my son to school and back. But then like in 2019, she had a stroke, but she didn't know she had a stroke. We didn't even know, because apparently she had already had a cornea transplant in one of her eyes. So we thought, she said she was losing her eye, that one eye, and but she didn't say how bad it was. So she started getting, losing her sight more and more, and then that was like in 2019, and then no, actually I'm sorry, it was before 2019, because then in 2019, she was taking my son to school, gone internet, that's gone. Yeah, so she's like, my son goes, yeah, she couldn't see. She was driving around in circles, lost. Then she finally found the place, at the school that he was at. And then, he was already, graduated high school. This is university. And she's all, like, we get home. She gets home, then I get home, and he tells me all this, and then I'm like, what? And then my wife's all like, well, I told you guys that I couldn't see. I'm like, no, she goes, she can still see with one eye. And then she's all like, I told you I couldn't see out of the other eye. I'm like, no. I go, if you would have told us that you couldn't see, you wouldn't be driving anymore. That's it. So then after that day, that's it. That was her last. That's it. I'm like, sorry, babe, but I'm sorry to tell you, but you know what? You're not. That's it. No more driving for you. So so we noticed, because even at home, she started, because she was only had vision in one eye. So she I don't know if you ever try this, close one eye, and then you kind of lose, like where things are, like the counter. So like if she want to put something on the counter, she wouldn't she would misjudge where it's at because she's only got one eye, you know, and this would she would end up dropping whatever, a pan full of cooking oil or food, or a glass, breaks, or a plate, you know, it would end up being on the floor broken. So, pretty soon, we started, hey, you know what, she's, and then we told her, don't be, because, she wanted to cook something, and I'm going, oh, and then my son was in school. The bad thing was that she was at school, I mean, he was at school, and then, I was driving him to school and picking him up, he would, he would stay at my mother-in-law's, or then he would get rides, if I couldn't take him to school with his friends, but then, that was for like the last couple of, like a year and a half. Then last year, because, she's, my son has been helping her at home, all this time, you know, whenever she needed help, because even she like was tripping, from, and we told her don't be going around every, but we didn't know that she was actually losing her vision in her other eye too. And then all of a sudden, May 28th, is when I was at work. It was on a Friday. I remember because my son calls me, and he's all like, my son calls me, goes, "Hey, Dad, I think mom can't see. I think she's completely blind because she was in the bathroom and she thought that it was something on the counter. And she thought it was the toilet paper, and she was spinning it, but it wasn't. It was some other container." And he's all like, "Yeah, I think she can't see." So then I'm like, "Oh shoot!" And my shift was almost gonna finish. So then I told him, "Well, as soon as I get home, we'll have to take her to the hospital and have her checked out." And so, hold on, I'll be right back. Uh, yeah, yeah. So then I told her, I go, so we went to the hospital, did a bunch of tests, then they found out that yeah, I guess apparently she had multiple strokes. So then she ended up being 3 days in the hospital there, and then they sent her to another hospital, for 21 days. Supposedly they were going to help her. They didn't help shit. I mean, those hospitals that supposedly they take care of you, you know, they don't. They don't take care of you. All they do is just take your money. That's what they do. And I feel sorry for all the people that go to those hospitals because my wife, when I got her home, I mean, I ended up having to cut her hair. Her hair was long, like to the back, like to the middle of her back. But the guys at the hospital, they didn't even comb her hair or anything. I don't know what the hell they did. They didn't do shit. I mean, it really pissed me off. But they they tied her hair in a knot. There was no way I was gonna get that hair unknotted. I mean, they like idiots, you know. I mean, she was all like it was like she was walking like a zombie, pretty much. I mean, I don't know what the hell they were doing, but they weren't doing anything for her. Basically, they were putting in her the adult diapers, for 21 days. It's like I'm like she had a stroke, but she could still do everything. The only thing she lost was her vision. I even told them, what the hell? Because they kept saying, "Oh, well, we got to evaluate her because, we don't want her to, because we don't want her to choke on any food." I go, she can't. She's not gonna choke. And then they're like, "Oh, we ask her what day it is," and I go, "She even when she was fine, she's been disabled for 25 years." I go, she didn't never cared about what day it was because I have to go to work. It's like what part of she don't give a crap of what day it is. Or even if who was president or whatever, unless you ask, by the way, I mean, to her the president was Clinton. It's like, yeah, my President Clinton, she would say, that was her favorite president, and it's like nobody else. There's no other presidents. It's like, but yeah, it was like, yeah, so she had they got all the tests back, and then find out that she had all these strokes, and they're like, damn, what? And then they're like, well, didn't you notice any her slurring? And then that's the thing, nothing like that happened. They say that people when they have strokes, their mouth goes crooked and all that, and then they're like, oh well, and don't you see her mouth is crooked? I go, she's always had a crooked smile all her life. You know, her teeth. I think she fell or something, and she lost the front of her teeth, and then she's always had like a little bit of a crooked smile, and it's like this, she wasn't having a stroke, you know. Let's see who's here. D4J. Yeah, so I mean, it was that was in May of last year. So now she's my son. At least he's getting paid to take care of her. I mean, he's been doing it anyway. So if I told him, hey, get into that program, get paid, take care of your mom. When I'm not here, it's either him or me. All right, everybody. Thanks a lot for coming. Everybody hit that button, the like button. Till next time, good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you're at. God bless you. And as Key says, call your mama, tell her you love her, tell your loved ones you love them because you don't know how long they're going to be around. Everybody, have a good one. God bless. Bye. Till next time.